So I had a chance to go to McAllen, Texas. It's, when you look at the border in this country right now, they see a success story for the most part in San Diego and in portions of Arizona. But they have to address Texas. So when our Homeland Security Secretary decided when she has the job for only 4 days, she said, I got to go down there and find out what exactly is needed. I got $1.8 billion that I could start spending on the wall, and it's going to start down there. So here's a portion of the interview. You got to have more on this, and I talked to a bunch of border agents on Monday. But here is Secretary Nielsen. Madam Secretary, you're not even on the job a week yet. What is it like?
Well, first of all, I could not be more privileged or honored to support the men and women of DHS. We're going to have a wall, we're going to have border security, and we're going to protect the homeland.
And what did the president tell you when he got the job? What did he say from you?
Build a wall. Protect our country.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you
and
say?
Support the men and women.
And knowing that's on his top 3 list, it means there's a lot of weight on your shoulders. How do you plan to carry that?
Well, I'm going to look to the good men and women of DHS to do their jobs. I think we're doing everything we can to close the loopholes, help them to enforce the law, and then make sure they have the tools that they need.
And you see the reality of this wall and how effective it is. Does it bother you when people in Washington are playing politics when it comes to the implementation of the technology needed to be successful?
Of course it does, because this is key to our security of our homeland. I also find it very confusing because, as you know, in 2006, we had a bill, the Secure Fence Act, that was largely bipartisan that would have done just this. So it is politics. It's easy for folks in Washington to talk about the benefits of a wall and not a wall, but they're not working here. They're not facing the threats that the folks here are facing every day.
Looking out here, what do you see? They say it was down as low as 120 a few months ago. Now we have 400 people crossing just in this region alone. Do you see an urgency to stop that?
Absolutely, because it's both. I mean, we tend to have the discussion about the wall with respect to illegal immigration problem, but you can't forget it's criminals, it's traffickers, it's smugglers, it's special interest aliens, potentially terrorists. It's all the same pathways. The transnational criminal organizations are happy to sell their services to anyone. Right? So we really need to stop their ability to cross.
When January happens and there's a change in the administration, immediately there's a drop. But when Congress doesn't give you the money and the people that they promised and the wall is delayed, the numbers start going up. It's as if they're listening, the would-be illegal crossers are almost listening to Washington to see how they're planning.
Well, you know, we're at such a disadvantage. They have money. They have time, and this is their job. So they do watch. They watch what's happening in Congress. They watch what's happening as part of our national conversation, and they learn as we go along. So we see more and more loopholes being exploited.
What has the president told you in terms of what to do? Because he said in the past, I want this wall, it's going to be big. But in reality, there are some places that you can't build it.
Yeah, the wall really needs to be, and I think we always have to be clear, it's really 3 components, right? It's the physical barrier, it's the technology, and then it's personnel. So to me, all of that together is sort of what we mean by the wall.
So let's go see the part of the wall that is built.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so this is a bollard fence, they say.
Yes.
Now, I necessarily didn't see anything like this on the new prototypes. Would something like this stay and you look to lengthen it, or would you look to replace for whatever you choose?
So we actually have about 55 miles around this area. It's non-contiguous. So the 28 miles that we're prioritizing will actually fill in the gaps, if you will.
So this is working.
Yes.
With the places that has no barrier, that's what's got to be addressed.
Right.
And I notice it's not all straight, right? You have chain link, huge, probably 30 feet. And then I see over there maybe 6 feet.
Yes.
What goes into that?
A lot of it is based on the terrain. As the terrain flows up and down, the wall goes with it. So sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's thicker. Sometimes there's other natural barriers that can combine with it.
And Madam Secretary, it's hard not to see some of the paraphernalia here, including a ladder.
Yeah.
And the word is for people who say, if you show me a wall, I'll show you a ladder. You build a bigger wall, I'll get a bigger ladder. What's your reaction to that?
It's a system of systems. I mean, that's the difficulty here. There's no silver bullet. We got to have a wall. We're going to have a wall, but then you need the technology, you need the people, you need the sensors, you need the cameras, you need the monitoring to make sure that that wall is as effective as it can be.
Will this Rio Grande area look the same in a year, or we're going to see some major improvements in fortifications?
We will see some major improvements. We'll see some new wall, hopefully. We got to keep pressing Congress to get us that funding we request in FY18, but if we do, this is the priority area.
It's going to be a big 2 weeks.
It is going to be a big 2 weeks.
Great.
Keep pushing.
because in that 2 weeks there should be $1.8 billion for the wall. It's going to start right there. 54 miles are built, 118 in length, but if you take river miles, it's 363. So some of it's natural, you can't get through it, or you only can do it with people. The rest is going to be a physical barrier. And here's what they say. You'll save money, because if the barrier is effective, you don't need border agents, or a lot of border agents in that area, so it will be cost effective. They're very pumped up about the prototypes that have been made in San Diego, and even some of the agents that you're going to hear from Monday. And that's one of them. That's Oscar. And he's saying that the prototypes even surprised them with what they were able to do with concrete.
Look at that picture right there. Was it a requirement to shop at LL Bean before?
Right. She took her sleeves off. I didn't. You know I got a huge problem dressing casual,
I
right?
love it. Y'all both look so cute.
Right. And I'm not going for cute. I'm supposed to be rugged.
It's border wear for
yeah,
Brian.
what's going on? And by the way, just so you know, that isn't just the wall. There's a levee because the place floods. So they built a levee, helped the locals, and then they built a wall on top of it. So it's already 12 feet off the ground, and then the fence goes above it. So below, there's a huge drop.
They probably figured that they've got to do that to go ahead and mitigate the flooding problem. So that as first they built the levee, and the wall on top of it did it all at once.
Absolutely. So local and federal working together, the people in McAllen pretty happy.
So fascinating. Thank you, Brian.